So some of this is rehearsed, some of it's not. I just want to share my thoughts a little bit. I first off want to start out by thanking, and this is no, I'm not trying to come up off them or anything, or steal their thoughts or any way, but I sincerely want to thank these people for guiding my thoughts down a path that has led me to be the most creative, or to bring on thoughts in such a way that I've never experienced before. Joe Rogan, basically all these people, it seems to me like they just do themselves as hard as they can, put it out there, and people love it. Joe Rogan, Floyd Money Mayweather, who's old, Floyd Money Mayweather, Taylor Swift, Meek Mill, let me see, who else? Dave Chappelle, Richard Pryor, Charlie Murphy, Mike Tyson, and of course, I like to thank all the leaders of this country too, and I can't thank them enough for who they are in the role and the spot that they're in, that God has them in, and the way they fulfill it. I find it hard to believe that that any red-blooded American in that position of authority would try to lead this country or people in this country astray or wish them harm. And I truly believe that for both sides. Anyway, so I'm just gonna think out loud and whatever I'm thinking about. And I was thinking about meth addiction and the answer. What is the answer for meth addiction? Oh, Chris Vallotton also I wanted to thank. He's so one of the things that he says is you got to be part of the problem to be part of the solution. And so I've been part of this problem. I mean, I was a meth addict. I was homeless, and I think the worst part about meth and why it's illegal is because it isolates you. It keeps you away from your family and the people that you're born into, the people that love you. Like it makes the pleasure sensor in your brain larger, and it takes over the prefrontal cortex, like it bypasses it. So you don't have, basically you can't think properly. Like your mind is just telling you more drugs. And to boot, like it kicks up your anxiety, which is something kind of like it puts you in fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, it bypasses your prefrontal cortex also. And it's a survival mechanism, so that when you have the idea to go engage in combat, or go do whatever it is that you need to do that might seem, under most circumstances, it's exactly what you need to do to survive, right? But meth it'll engage that, only it's not telling you to go engage in combat, or go defend, go kill somebody who's who's threatening the lives of your kids or yourself. It's telling you to go get that drug instead. So, but what that drug does, instead of, what that mechanism is for in your brain, I think the design is to be there for you to be with your family and to protect them, and to survive, so you can stay around the people that you're loving and keep giving yourself and keep enjoying other people's company, rather than secluding yourself, putting yourself up in a motel room or in the corner of a stairwell somewhere, just smoking that crap, trying to just get through the night to get up and smoke some more of it. If there's any solution that I can think of for that, I would say, and I hate to say it, but a lot of the people that are addicted to that stuff are people on Social Security, people who get a stipend every month, which, veterans, which is the boat that I was in, the beginning of every month. So I say, rather than the government giving all those people money at the beginning of the month for everybody, for all those people to just go spend it on drugs and keep isolating themselves and keep not being a part of something so good, which is all the reason why all those people's families are mad at them, because it's not because they're it's not because they're doing the drugs. It's because there's something so good for them, and everybody around them that's sober knows it. There's something so good for them that life has through laughing and being able to be themselves and share that with other people, but they can't experience it, and it pisses the people that love them off so much that they have to cut them off, because they're not being. It'll reduce them to a point that they're not themselves, I think it's really more that than it is that families are upset that they're stealing from them. But it's for me. I think I looked at my parents and I think back on what I put them through, and it must have been so hard for them to see me and experience and get see and talk to me, but it wasn't really me. It wasn't because I was just so preoccupied with the drug, and anytime I was around them, it was, the thing that was on my mind the most was drugs. It wasn't laughing with them. It wasn't, sharing funny stories or just doing life with them and being there for them and whatever they're going through, also whatever hardships that they had, because their hardship was me, Anyways, so I think we should make a little camp, make camps, have a certain cost at the beginning of every month, which would be perfect for the people that do get those stipends at the beginning of the month. Put them in those camps, but under the stipulation they have to pay a certain percentage, 3/4 of their income, whatever that is, maybe even more, and they have to watch a video of their families having a good time, or having their families not talk to them and tell them how they feel. See their families tell the other family members how they feel, what they love most about them, and have to see them laugh, have to see their friends who aren't doing drugs hanging out with their other friends that aren't doing drugs, and then just see how long that they want to stay there, posted up in their room by themselves or wherever, however it looks like, with other drug addicts, just doing drugs. Because it doesn't take long before, for me, I had to go to jail, and my mind had to get cleared out, and I had to experience and feel all these emotions that I was running from, all these pains that I was running from, and all these obligations as a father and as a son, as a brother, that I was putting off. There was internal mechanisms in me that knew that I should have been doing things in those relationships, and I owed it to these people because that's who I was born into. That's who I am, and my kids, they were born from me. And I would worry about them, but I couldn't do anything about it. But then when I had to sober up, and I had to be sober and experience, and all those things, all those obligations, all those emotions, all those pains that I was running from, they came back with vengeance. And there I was in jail, probably about 3 weeks into sobriety, and my mind is starting to function properly. And I had to feel and experience all those pains and all those things all those worries that I should have been having properly, all at once, and I couldn't do anything about it. And I thought, people say there's no withdrawal from methamphetamines, bullshit. That was withdrawal from methamphetamines for me, because I thought, I'm never doing this shit again. Never again do I want to be all by myself worried sick in the way that I should be about my kids and my family, and not being able to do anything about it other than just sit there and worry. I couldn't call them. I couldn't, you know. So I started writing letters, and just laying it all out there. I didn't hold anything back. And from that, I was able to um, I was able to start experiencing getting my emotions out. And when my mom would, write back and tell me, like, I couldn't not cry the whole time that I was reading your letter. It felt good in a small way, that it resonated, and that my feelings, whatever I was feeling, were being felt through my words. And so that's how I started writing. And also I have a bachelor's. I started a year, my master's degree, and didn't finish. Was when I got addicted to meth. But I could write decently in college, good enough to, get pretty good marks. And the way that I would just write about things that I love every chance that I get, or every assignment. I would try to figure out a way to write about something I love, right? Because it was the easiest thing to write and talk about. And so that's kind of, and then also, like, these artists or these people that I listen to, I'll be honest, I spend more time listening to them than I do, just as much, because my family, their thoughts, their words, their texts, the things that they share, their pictures, like, I'm always thinking about those things. I'm always, pondering, like, and it's kind of like before, it was like I would make all these excuses for myself, and I would make all these excuses of why I was effing up, and why I was, why everybody was wrong, and why it was okay that I was doing meth. And they were actually pretty good excuses, and it made a lot of sense to me, and I could make it make sense. But nobody was buying it, because I was still by myself. Like, it didn't matter how good of an excuse it was, right? But then when I started using that philosophy, like, towards other people, and when I started making excuses for like why somebody could be wronging me, or why somebody could have done something that I didn't, like, or make me feel bad, because I don't know what's going on with everybody, and it was real easy to not take things personal when I started making those same excuses and same reasoning for myself why I was doing drugs and cooped up. When I started doing that for other people, like, it just got a heck of a lot easier to stay close to those people and be able to receive, like, the goodness from them and what they had to offer the world, and what they had to offer, like, me as a person. Because there's always something going on that you don't know about. Everybody's fighting a battle. So I like to say I made my boat float with excuses, and then love pushed my ass in, and then from there, when I'm just sitting, floating in, I'm not floating in my own boat of excuses all by myself, now I'm in the water with everybody, and I'm in the water, and I can see my thoughts, and they come at I'm feeling my thoughts. I'm in my mind, and I can see my thoughts, they come, and it's almost like from an outside source in some ways, but it's through me at the same time. And it's kind of like sitting in that lake or that ocean or whatever it is, that water, and I'm seeing, like, the different clouds and the weather come by, and like, I can kind of, like, navigate it, though. Like, if there's a bad cloud or a bad storm that comes through, like, I don't have to, like, stay there. I can just, like, let it ride by. And that's the same thing, like, with my thoughts. Like, if something weird or something, something that's like, that is like just something, a thought that I don't like having, like, I don't have to identify with that thought, and I don't have to consider that part of me and feel really bad about myself, whereas before I would feel horrible at some of the things that I feel because I'd identify it with, and I think that something's really wrong with me. Whereas now, like I can, those things can pass by and I don't have to identify them and I don't have to think that those are me. And then when the good stuff comes, the good ideas, and I can stay there in those things. And now, and I feel like I've done that for long enough that, I've made not excuses, I try to see the other side of anything that makes me feel bad that somebody else is involved. And that's always the case. There's always, I call it like the percentage rule, like any conflict or any problem that anybody ever has or I have, there's always a small percentage or a big percentage that somebody else's fault or that somebody else is involved in. And that right there is where that excuse thing comes in. Like there's always going to be somebody involved. There's always going to be the opportunity to look at somebody else and say that it's their fault. Whether it's a big percentage or whether it's a small percentage, you still have that problem, right? You're still in that conflict, or you still have that thing in you that hurts from whatever the scenario is, whether it was 90% somebody else or 10% somebody else. So all you can do is figure out what you can fix yourself and not worry about them, or not worry about not try to fix whatever it is, whatever the percentage of thing that they did wrong, but try to see it from their perspective and love them through it. And it sounds funny or sounds hokey pokey, and there's it's probably easy to think like, he doesn't really think like that, or that's not really how it is, but that is really how I think now, and that is really how I do business in relationships. And like, I couldn't be happier, so yeah, I really can't thank those people enough, and I can't thank my family enough. But first and foremost, like God, and like I just get so like overwhelmed with thankfulness for everything that's happened in my circumstances, and because I don't know that I could have gotten here to where I am now mentally if it wasn't for that other stuff that people say, like, well, he's not done using, like he's just not ready. And that's a true thing. Like, that's a real statement. That's a real thing. Like, if you are not, and it's maybe not so much as that you're not ready, is that like those lights haven't turned on. Like, you haven't pained yourself enough to start wanting out of it and figure out a way to realize that this is not being in drugs, or like it's basically putting yourself in your own prison. And that's why I feel like the best option is like, why don't we just let them put themselves physically in their own prison if that's what they're doing already? And rather than paying them, why don't the government make money from that, And yeah, but I got a lot of love for people that are in the addiction, and I got a lot of love for people that are trying, in authority, that are trying to make those right decisions, because they're a lot of times those are the people with the biggest heart, the ones that are having to, enforce the rules. And it's just the way it works, and the reason that is because there's not too many people that can keep seeing that thing and that painful thing over and over, and keep having enough compassion to do their job properly, in spite of that, in spite of seeing it over and over and over, and still believe that their purpose, or still feel fulfilled, and knowing that they're going to wait for that one person that gets it, and still keep getting bent by addicts and addiction and all the bad stuff that it brings, because they keep getting pained every time they have to send somebody to jail again, or see somebody separated from their family again. But they keep doing it over and over, and it's not that they don't get desensitized, it's that they keep doing it knowing that somebody eventually is going to get it, and for those people, like, that's all worth it. And I truly believe that, and I know it's a real thing, and I know that a lot of people, like, you know, there's still certain, like, rules and sets that I got to uphold when it comes to, like, you know, certain things. Like, I can't ever snitch. I won't snitch, you know, and that's just. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that I don't, like, recognize the goodness in police officers or in law, and still respect them as they deserve. Yeah, that's all I got. I think. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this does something for somebody. Thanks.